Ah, the guitar solo. Those glorious 8 bars where the singer shuts up for a while and the spotlight goes on us. I think most guitarists would be lying if they said they didn't first pick up the guitar with the hopes of one day being able to rip a face-melting solo in front of a crowd of screaming fans. And if that's not the case, then you're probably a lot more sensible than I am, and I'm a bit jealous really. Anyway, I've gathered you all here today to ask a very important question. What exactly makes a guitar solo great? Well, you're in luck. I've compiled 5 crucial... No! Sorry. But in all seriousness, here are 5 key things to bear in mind when composing a solo. So without further ado, let's get started. It's always sad for me to hear a solo which completely ignores the underlying chords, especially when the progression is pretty interesting. Many guitarists just seem to want to know what key they're in, then that's it, they're off. For me, to be presented with a really tasty chord progression to solo over is like the holy grail of lead guitar playing. So take some time to really listen to the chord progression and identify any changes which might make for some especially tasty moments. If you're not feeling particularly inspired by a chord progression, then you might find some of my previous lessons useful. I'll stick some links in the description for your utmost convenience. Failing that, if your song has vocals... If you think that the song you're playing on has a strong vocal hook, perhaps in the chorus or even in one of the verses, then you can never go wrong with including it. It could be a great place to start if you're having trouble getting some ideas flowing. I mean, look at Don't Stop Believing, Smells Like Teen Spirit, We're Not Gonna Take It. These are all legendary solos which all just rely on the vocal melodies of the songs. A technique that I often like doing is to take part of the main chorus vocal melody and weave it into the start of the solo, and then reintroduce it later with slight variations, perhaps either playing it a fifth higher or flipping the direction of the melody. Let's have a look at some examples of this by using the Smells Like Teen Spirit solo. The only time I would definitely hesitate to incorporate the vocal melody into a solo is if it's already occurred several times in the song up until that point. For example, if you're coming straight off the back of a double chorus, then the listener might not appreciate having to hear it again and again. This one may seem obvious, but Jesus Christ, there are so many famous songs that just have really inappropriate solos. Before you even pick up your guitar to start playing something, take some time to really listen to the song and try and build an image in your head of what you think a guitar solo in the song might sound like. If it's a straightforward rock or pop song, for example, then it's probably best to chill and take your time to really find the best notes possible. Or if it's a fast metal song, then it doesn't really make much sense to start cracking out the B.B. King blues licks, does it? I know it sounds horrendously cheesy, but the key word here is emotion. Which particular emotion do you think the song is trying to convey to the listener by the time the guitar solo rolls around? The best solos are the ones which do a perfect job of picking up on a song's emotional intent and enhancing it in a way in which only the guitar can do. Just think about the trippiness of Comfortably Numb, the silliness of Through the Fire and Flames, the urgency of Tornado of Souls, the chilled summer vibes of Hotel California, and even the unchained madness of Raining Blood. You get the idea, don't you? So to try and explain this tip, I'm going to play you a short solo, and I want you to work out exactly what the problems are with it. Besides being generally terrible, you may have picked up on the following things. There were no pauses, just an endless stream of notes. The solo didn't really go anywhere, it was just one-dimensional. And it was all just played around the same position on the neck, really. Now I'm going to play another solo over the same chord progression, but this time improving on the failings of the last one. This time, I made more of an effort to give the solo a definite beginning, middle and end, starting at the bottom of the neck and working my way up gradually throughout the solo. You probably also noticed that this time I didn't just assault your ears with a relentless barrage of notes, but instead I broke it up into a series of succinct phrases. Speaking of phrasing, that's going to be the subject of my next lesson video, so stay tuned for that next week. But at the end of the day, all of these things that we've talked about don't amount to anything if your solo just fizzles out at the end. And nobody likes a fizzle, do they?
Nobody calls me a fizzle and gets away with it.
Just like how every story needs a satisfying conclusion, your listeners need to know when to applaud and when to throw their underwear at you. Or if they're listening to you from the comfort of their own home, then they need to know when to give you that gurn of approval. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that all solos have to end with a big ass bend, or a dive bomb, or an epic speed picking passage. Finishing on the root or fifth of the current key is always a safe bet. Or if you're feeling adventurous, you could always experiment with finishing on some more spicy intervals. And as much as it pains me to say, try and keep the vocals in mind too. If you plan on holding the last note of the solo after it's finished, then make sure it's not clashing with anything that's being sung. Also, it probably wouldn't be wise to hold a massive bend with high gain if the song drops down to a mellow verse after the solo. Take your time to listen to the songs, and the songs will listen to you.